Hello and welcome to What the Hey, where I'm your regular host of What the Hey, and today on What the Hey, I'm once again answering yet another question. When I go to my notebook of knowledge, I see the question of, what the hey is dinosaurs? Now this question was asked by Abrasious Productions, so hello to you and thank you very much for the question. Now, in terms of a very basic description, Dinosaurs was a sitcom-like television show that featured a family of dinosaurs discussing and going through everyday topics and scenarios. Now, the two people who are credited with creating Dinosaurs would be Michael Jacobs and then Bob Young, which also falls in line with the different production companies like Michael Jacobs Productions. You also have Jim Henson Productions and Walt Disney Television, so a few different production companies followed by the creators. I do specifically want to bring up Jim Henson Productions because Jim Henson, if you know anything about him, he's this really famous dude who had a lot to do with puppetry and like puppet production kind of films and shows. But in general, Jim Henson is kind of credited with creating the concept for Dinosaurs. He didn't full out make the entire thing, but he was kind of the precursor to Michael Jacobs and Bob Young, but he didn't live long enough to see the full production of it. And then the network that you could actually watch this on would have been ABC, so if you kind of want to go back and actually watch through ABC, you could possibly, but that's who it was done through. The release of the show Dinosaurs was April 26th of 1991, so it's kind of credited with being one of those like really good 90s shows because a lot of people claim that a lot of the best shows that like we look back on come from the 90s, which isn't always the case, but this is one of them. The show itself consists of 4 different seasons with 65 episodes in total, which they typically run around 23 minutes, so not horribly long. A lot of people consider the genres for Dinosaurs to be sitcom, satire, and I didn't know this was technically a genre, but puppetry, because that's what a lot of it is. Additionally, while I was reading the overall reviews for the show, a lot of people compare it to The Simpsons, because it is really a big kind of family sitcom, daily family life kind of show, so I don't think that claim is necessarily inaccurate because that's kind of what it is. The first ever episode that was released for Dinosaurs is titled The Mighty Megalosaurus because the show obviously deals with a bunch of different dinosaurs, so they just added in the name of one of them. And then the finale is titled Changing Nature, which I believe is the episode where essentially they're going to become extinct or eventually become extinct, and it's pretty sad. I won't explain the whole thing, but that's kind of what it leads into. So for this section of the video, I'm going to kind of list the main characters of the show, which range from Earl Sinclair, Francis Sinclair, Robert Sinclair, Charlene Sinclair, Baby Sinclair, Ethel Phillips, Roy Hess, and Bradley Richfield. Those are the ones that I had jotted down because I feel like they have the most influence overall. The Sinclair family is the main focus of the show. Of course, you have the father, the mother, and then you have like a baby and then some siblings and stuff. But they're the ones the show focuses on mainly to kind of give and explain its ideas and topics through. And then some of the other characters that I mentioned, I won't go into too much detail about, but a lot of them have to do with like the father dinosaur's job and how that all kind of impacts him specifically. I think that I kind of mentioned it earlier, but Dinosaurs works in a way similar to like The Simpsons, where certain topics are discussed in the way that maybe like a live action show, like maybe Full House, would do. Some of the topics that are brought up in the show range from stuff like harassment, crime, environmentalism is a huge one, especially in the last episode. But the show does it in a way kind of similar to what I think of as like Full House, where they'll address stuff and it's kind of like the lesson for an episode or whatever, but they do it in a way that's still like entertaining to watch. Which kind of goes into my general opinion because for me, I haven't watched all the content for Dinosaurs, but from what I've seen, I can relate it to Full House, which I've watched a good bit of. And the way they present certain topics is done in a way that I feel like is the best way they can do it. The fact that the show can be watched by both adults and kids kind of tells the fact that the show is good at presenting certain topics in a way that most people can understand to a certain level. The puppetry and kind of the costume designs of the show, not my favorite aspect of it, just kind of gives me the creeps. But in general, with how they actually made the stuff, I find that super impressive and I definitely couldn't do it. I think there are some costumes that they would have to have multiple people control because they're so heavy, and it's just like they have some motorized portions of them, but most of the time it's like humans trying to operate them, which is crazy. And it's a show about dinosaurs, and I personally like dinosaurs, so I don't find any negatives to it, really, besides the costumes that kind of creep me out, but it's okay. But that's essentially the answer to the question, so if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll get to answering them as soon as I can, so thank you very much for watching. Bye!